Hello and welcome, and welcome back to part two of Juve Therapy wrap-up episode for this season. First part, if you forgot to watch it or you didn't know that we had part one, please remember checking that out. It's on YouTube already. We are reviewing the whole season, player by player, and giving them a rating. Some of them got good ratings, other ones not so much. So with me, I got, of course, Graham and Elle. If you can see, hi guys.
Hey.
All right. So Elle is, of course, from Canada. So there is in the middle of the night. So we'll try to do this as quickly as possible, but we'll do it as thorough as possible as well. All right. So we got a lot of questions from you guys on Twitter, and some mixed questions. But before we go to discussing Juve, I just want to say that Graham, he's got his new shirt on him. It's next year's home jersey. Yeah, it is ugly, at least from my point of view. Graham, what you think about the jersey? How is the fit? How is the quality? Who you got on the back, if you have any?
Well, I was hoping that it would look better in person. Just slightly, very slightly. I'm just trying to convince myself that it was the right decision. But like the typical football fan, I bought it anyway. It's the only one I'm going to be buying because there's no chance I'm going to be getting the other two. It's actually the best of the bunch. The quality's all right. I would say the quality's better than last season. It reminds me of, it reminds me of, it's like a sort of stretchy material. It doesn't cling to you, but I would say it's similar to the 16-17 season home shirt, like the material wise.
Okay.
But I mean, it's all right. It's just the design that's not the greatest. And then unfortunately, they've used the same color of stitching, so it's white stitching all over. So I don't know if you'll be able to pick it up or if I'll be able to get a good angle for you. But the black, so I don't know if you can see on Ronaldo.
Yeah.
But like on the black half, you can slightly see some of the white stitching.
No, you're kidding.
Just a little, slightly.
Okay, yeah, we can't see it, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, so it's not the greatest. It's definitely the worst Juventus shirt I've seen since my time as a fan, like home shirt wise. But it's comfortable enough, so that's good. The fit's good.
Yeah. What do you think, Al? How ugly is it?
You know what? It's I remember seeing it first and I thought there's no possible way they're gonna do that. And then they did. And I was like, well, maybe on the pitch it won't be so bad. And then I was wrong again because it was still bad on the pitch. For whatever reason, though, I don't know. The black shorts make it look even worse. I thought at least the white shorts, I don't know.
Yeah, because usually it's like the shorts and socks can somehow make it okay, but it isn't the case.
It's just, I don't know. I'm not a fan, but I do agree with you, Graham. Out of all the ones I've seen so far, it is actually the best one out of the bunch. Maybe that goalkeeper one, even though it's distributed amongst, 20 teams, just changing sponsorship and logos, it's kind of cool. But I don't know. It's kind of disappointing. I get whatever Adidas trying to make some cool little thing here where in their promotion it's hashtag be the stripes or whatever, and I get that the players, when they stand next to each other, they are creating the stripes essentially, but I get the concept and everything, but it's still bad on its own, on a standalone. Yeah, it's probably one of the worst I've seen from Juve for sure. But my collection must go on, so I'm struggling here because I need one minimum from this season. Last season I liked them all. This past season I liked all three of them. But they were all nice. That's if they got rid of the box on the home one this year, this past season would have been nice because it looked like an H for whatever reason amongst those stripes with the box. But other than that, I had no complaints on this year's set. But yeah.
All right. So if you guys don't know how the away and a third jersey look like, yeah, we'll link it below for the video. It's just as ugly, even maybe it's uglier, especially the blue one.
That away,
Man,
that's terrible. That third one, that blue one, oh my
yeah.
God.
It looks like tie-dyed.
It looks like a pool liner, man. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, no, it's ugly. It's ugly. All right, so let's hope next season will be prettier than the jerseys at least. So let's go to the questions. First off, we'll start with a very open one. We discussed it already in the part 1, so let's just refresh our listeners. What would you preferred midfield look like for next season? Who would you like to see bought/sold? What would you do with fringe players? Chan/Matuidi/Bentancur? And the question comes from Max Hartle 1. Yeah, let's start with you, Graham. What would you do with our midfield for next season?
Definitely sell a few names. I'm just trying to think who I would bring in to replace. I mean, everyone wants rid of Khedira. He's just not got it anymore. He's not had it for a while. He slows play down. For some reason, he's always going upfield to attack. I don't know why. So I would get rid of him first and foremost. I mean, Matuidi's good to have in the squad. Maybe give Bentancur a few minutes. You know, he deserves a few chances next season. I would keep Pjanic unless you get, you know, what I would call silly money. If you get a massive bid that comes in from, you could really reinvest in the squad. Aaron Ramsey is going to be a brilliant addition for us. You know, we've been needing a player like that. He was performing really well for Arsenal last season until I think he got injured towards the end, which was unfortunate. Hopefully he can avoid injuries when he's playing for Juventus. And I'm trying to think who else there is in the midfield. It's just, that's our worst area of the pitch, so we really need to reinvest in that area.
What do you think about Emre Can? I mean, he is originally he is a midfielder, but he did very well as box-to-box midfielder / could be one of the 3 defenders. Would you keep him? Would you play him as a midfielder? Would you do something about him playing as a defender?
Sorry, I actually forgot about Chan there. Yeah, I would keep him. You need those versatile players. You know, it's always helpful. You never know what's going to happen in the season ahead. If you have suspensions, injuries, whatever, you can always throw him slightly deeper, even as a centre back, or you can have him in the midfield. So you want players like that can play in several positions. And again, I would give him more minutes as well. It all depends on who comes in. To be honest with you, I haven't been paying attention to the names that have been being mentioned on Twitter. I'm probably going to ruin his name completely here. In Dombley, I think, the Leon midfielder. Yeah. I hear his name getting mentioned. I hear his name getting mentioned a lot, but I really haven't watched Leon, so I couldn't give you an opinion on him. I would maybe, just budget-wise, it all depends on how much we have to spend. If Rakitic was available, and it was available at a cheap price because Barcelona have De Jong coming in, like that's guaranteed, I would maybe have a look at that, because it's always good to have those type of players in your team, and he's actually a good class player. So he could just actually walk straight into the first team, especially with the way it is right now.
Good. What do you think, Al?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree. I think obviously midfielders, we don't have a bunch. As in part 1, we went over the reviews and it didn't last very long because we don't have many there. But Khedira, yeah, it's long overdue.
Well, he's a gunner for sure.
It's time to go. Emre Can, yeah, I'm pretty happy with. I think, you know, it'll be interesting to see how we end up lining up under a new coach post Allegri regime here, because I think Matuidi and Emre Can would be strong if we kind of held them in behind our other midfielders and just used them as ball winners, right? And then, you know, depending on whether we keep Miralem Pjanic or not. Depends on kind of what we're going to do and who we're going to bring in, obviously, right? I think if he stays with Ramsey coming in on a free, we probably get one more midfielder. If he goes, obviously, I think we're going to get two. I know that Juve seems to be moving very, very slowly on Ndombele, but apparently Lyon's president has said that he wants him to go to Juve. And I'm just like, my God, like, let's get on this here. And the price is right, especially when you're hearing rumors of Milinkovic-Savic at 100 million or 120. Like, come on, let's get serious here, right? How does Dybala go through a season like this and his value drops astronomically, and Milinkovic-Savic is invisible and his stays the same or goes up 20 mil? It just can't happen. We got to be smart about it. If we can get Ndombele at 70 mil, we've got Ramsey coming in on the free. I know Rabiot's floating around there on a free too. They say that we offered him a contract at 9 mil a season and he turned it down. I strongly disagree with that and don't believe it, because a guy that's making barely 2 mil right now, you're telling me is going to pass up 9 mil at Juve? I don't see that.
No.
So there's a lot of options of what we can do, right? But center back and midfielder, I just think if Pjanic stays, we probably pull the trigger on Ndombele or somebody else. One more mid will come along with Ramsey, and then the rest going to be at center back.
Yeah. The thing is that we have, as you mentioned, we have 5 midfielders, and one of them will leave, hopefully Khedira, and we gotta do better coming season. But we have so many players that are linked to Juve. I mean, late today, this morning, I saw that Isco apparently wants to leave Real Madrid for 70, or Real Madrid can sell him for 70 million, and Juve might be interested. This is I love the player to death. He's one of my absolute favorites. But then again, my thing is that with Italians, when they run the club, they always, I mean, overcomplicate Italian football, because we don't want to buy players coming from other leagues to Italian football, because Italian football is so complicated to learn. It will take time for them to adapt, and so on and so on. I mean, if this is the strategy, then we can't buy guys like Isco. We can't buy guys like Ronaldo. But wait, we did, because Ronaldo is a beast. So it just doesn't make sense to me that's not a good argument. And also Ramsey coming in, that would be very exciting. Yes, he's a good player. My concern with him is that he doesn't know very well Italian. He doesn't speak Italian yet. I heard some rumors that he's starting to try, but then again, the chemistry with the other players and understanding the coach, and of course, if Sarri is coming in, and Sarri's English is well, somewhat limited, so it will be tough for him. But we never know. But then again, we have these rumors about Milinkovic-Savic, and also Pogba rumors apparently have cooled down. Well, surprise, surprise, like they always do. So I doubt that Pogba will come back to Juve. It will be either Milinkovic-Savic or some other random guy. I don't know Ndombele very much, neither as you, Graham. So yeah, for me, I haven't even watched Lyon a single minute this season, so I have no idea what he is. But since everybody's looking at him, Man United, Man City, Tottenham, I mean everybody, so there's got to be something there. And of course, as you say, Al, since the president offered him to Juve, well, why are we sitting on our asses and doing nothing? Do something. But then maybe something to do with the manager, right? It depends who will come in.
Yeah, I just think, if you look at the situation and us, I mean, spending 120, roughly what Lotito wants for Milinkovic-Savic, or even 130 to 150 on Pogba, whereas instead we can get 2, right? two midfielders. We're already thin as it is. So even, swapping Khedira out, pulling one more in, we're going in with 5, right? We should be looking at these 70 mil price ranges, or even a 70 and another free like Rabiot, just to get an extra body almost, because, and this is something I touched on in the last episode, was we not dealing with our midfield exits properly has kind of put us in this situation now where, we're almost handcuffed, and I think we have to go that route. I would love nothing more than to see Pogba back, but realistically, I just don't see it happening. You're probably going to have to get rid of get two big out transfers to generate enough money and free up the salary. So then all of a sudden you're not talking about losing either just Mira or Dybala. You're probably talking about both realistically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but then again, if you get two big star midfielders, both can't play, right? So there will be somebody on the bench. So who would you rather put on the bench then? I mean, it's got to be Matuidi, for example. It's got to be Chan. I mean, if there are guys, let's say, okay, let's hypothetically, let's say Ndombele and Isco arriving, right? So I guess it will be a rotation for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I mean, again, it all depends on what we end up doing, who the manager is. I mean, do we go a 4-3-1-2, and maybe, you can still have, say, either Matuidi or Emre Can as that deep lying midfielder, more of a defensive central midfielder. Say whatever, is Pjanic still here? Pjanic and Ramsey on the sides, and maybe Isco's almost like you line them up as a diamond, right? And maybe Isco's in behind the two forwards as an attacking mid. I mean, he's capable of that. We've seen that.
Yeah.
He's got so much creativity. I really like that. And if that's the price range on Isco, I jump on it.
Yeah.
All
right, good. Thanks for the question, Max Harl1. Yeah, very nice. Okay, next one. A bit more about last season and why it happened the way it happened. I'm probably butchering the name. Ridon or Rydon 135. Question for us: do you think the last World Cup have any effect to Juve's season? We touched on it last time, and also to Dybala's performance this season. Well, we touched on it last time in regards to Mario Mandzukic. He played the final, and Allegri made a bunch of excuses of him playing the way he did because of the World Cup final. Personally, it's not good enough. It's not good enough of excuse to put it on the World Cup. Few of our players played in the final, and of course when they leave the World Cup, they get an extended vacation. So there should be no excuses there. And of course, if we want to rotate, if we see that some guys are tired, well, we just rotate. The problem was that there was nobody there because Khedira was constantly injured, and so on and so on. So yeah, Graham, what do you think of it? Do you agree that the World Cup had any effect?
No, not really. I mean, never mind how many of our players reached the final. How many of our players were even at the World Cup? Like, out of the whole squad, I mean, as unfortunate as it is as an Italian football fan, none of the Italians were there.
Yeah.
So that's Chiellini. Bonucci wasn't a player at the time, I'm not sure. But, Bonucci, Cancelo wasn't there, Alexandro wasn't there. I mean, we only had, off the top of my head, I think we only had 2 players, Mandzukic and Matuidi. No, sorry, Szczesny as well. So we had 3 off the top of my head.
Dybala was there, didn't play.
Yeah, he was just sitting on the bench. He was just there for the fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there wasn't enough players to, blame the World Cup for fatigue or carrying on to the season that we had. So no, I don't think it had an effect. I mean, besides on Mandzukic, that's the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's more. I don't know. I don't buy into this when we have these tournaments and whatnot. Sure, they play, but they also don't join the team right after. They get a little bit of a breather on their own before they actually come back from the World Cup. Bentancur was out there too, actually, with Uruguay. But yeah, like I mean, with all the facilities available to these guys, the professional athletes and whatnot, and I mean the help that they have in recovery. No, I think like the whole Mario Mandzukic thing was strictly on Allegri and just overusing him like ridiculously. Don't think it has anything to do with the World Cup. Even Matuidi, I mean Matuidi come back, he was fine, but Matuidi again, we only had 5 midfielders at the start of the season. 2 of them had issues, Emre Can and Khedira. And we ran with Betancourt, Pjanic, and Matuidi for I don't know how many games in a row. And after that, Matuidi, we talked about him. Granted, he's got technical issues, but he's a workhorse and he's
touch of a rapist, wasn't it, you said?
But yeah, I mean, he's a workhorse and he's out there all the time for us, right? I mean, that's the things that get him tired is just Max. Although his numbers are staggering when it comes to how much rotation he uses, there are still guys that are just always in there for him. And those are the guys that it shows, man. Like they look pretty rough come down that second stretch of the season. And look at the names. It's those guys, Matuidi was looking pretty haggard. Sandro, Mandzukic, like all these guys that are constantly there, right?
So that is also the way we play, right? We use our physique. We run a lot. I mean, Matuidi is a machine. He runs non-stop. So it takes toll on the players. And Mandzukic is probably the only player who, I don't know, was affected by the World Cup. I didn't seem that Matuidi was so very affected, on the pitch at least. He was just the way he is. But Mandzukic, sure, he looked uninterested and not motivated enough. So, and yeah, and I guess.
But the funny thing is, Roman, the funny thing is though, is Mandzukic was great at the start.
Yeah.
Like which was closest to the World Cup, right? It was his second half that he was just disappeared.
Yeah.
So it's like, even if you think about that, it's like, okay, if he was the one affected by the World Cup, he was his best for us that first half of the season.
Yeah, but then his season was long, right? Where he never got any break. So the second part of the season, it was like too much for him, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, it's just a very thin excuse. And yeah, also the question was about Dybala's performance this season. We talked about it in part 1. We didn't slaughter him. We see cons and pros with the way he plays. It's not only his fault, but also partially is. So yeah, if you wanna see the answer for that one, just take a look at part 1 and you get a thorough review on Dybala's performance this season. Next question, and that's a very interesting question. Very, very interesting. So it comes from PJ7 Highlights. His question is, do you still believe these boys have it in them to refuel and go for the Champions League next season? Graham?
Yeah, I mean, we've got some quality players in that team. I mean, we didn't get knocked out by Ajax because we didn't have enough desire or interest to win it. It was purely tactical. So, yes, there are players that are aging in the team, but they're still good enough to go and win it. It's just we need the right manager in charge. We need some positive tactics, and we just need a guy in charge that knows what he's doing and isn't afraid to try and win games. I mean, with the previous manager Allegri, it more felt like he was afraid to lose games. And the squad that we have, if you implicate the proper tactics in that team, we could be an actual force to win it. And it's just it's not like when you look at the team, it's not a complete overhaul that's necessary. You just need a little tweak here, a little tweak there, and you could actually be one of the favourites. I mean, last season we were considered favourites for it purely on Ronaldo. And as great as Ronaldo is, that was just one addition to the team. So if we have another one or two additions again, there's no reason why we shouldn't expect to at least maybe go to the semi-finals.
There was one time, I don't know, many years ago, somebody, I think it was Marcello Lippi, the legend, he commented on the team being competitive all the time. The fact that it was, his argument was that every third or fourth season you need to change either the manager or the key players, never mind how successful the team was in previous years, just to keep the momentum going. In this case, well, there would be no question that we need to change the manager in order to not stay successful, but to get better in Europe, because in Italy we are so far ahead anyway. Now Inter are trying to do something stupid, but I doubt that they will be able to compete this season. But you never know. But anyway, it's the Champions League we're talking about, so we need to we change the manager, yes, but so that the drive, the hunger will be there for sure next season. But it is up to the manager to inject it into the team, because Guardiola knows the hunger. He knows how to win the Champions League. He knows what it requires to do. For Sarri, if he comes in, I mean, he just won the Europa League. So that's basically it. He doesn't know what it takes to take it to the highest level. When tough gets going, what does he do? He starts sulking and getting suspended. So I'm not buying that he will be a great solution for us for the Champions League victory, but you never know. So that's my argument. I don't know, Al, what you think? How do we do it next season regarding the hunger?
I think, honestly, with us, a new football philosophy is going to go a long way. Let's get the actual gameplay down. And then, I agree. Lippi's 3 to 4 years, like it makes sense. I mean, especially if you look at us, complacency seems to show up in a lot of our matches, especially this season. And look at us, I mean, you got 8 straight Scudetti. We had the 4 Copas consecutively. How do you keep the same group of guys going all the time, right? And we saw it this season once these other guys start creeping up, start taking their time. Spinazzola to Sandro, we see a little boost in Alexandro's play. Bentancur hitting the gates running when Khedira and Chan go down early in the year. But then again, these guys come back. There's no more competition for spots, but you got to keep that hunger. You got to keep the guys with the drive out there and going. Having said that, again, with us, the philosophy, the actual style of our play didn't do us any favors. So even if we had those guys, and a prime example is the second leg versus Atletico, we nailed the approach, the mentality, everything was there, the drive, the hunger. We were playing with speed and everything. But still, for all that, because of our philosophy, we were only able to create 50-50 chances at throwing the ball in the box on crosses and whatnot. So the philosophy is going to go a long way. Sorry, I see all the cons there. I get it. But, there's no doubt he gets his teams to play some incredible football. And, pretty much the same team other than Jorginho leaving. They're 20-something points less this season with Ancelotti there. And I know there's always a period of transition when you bring in a new manager and whatnot. And I know Carlo ended up going with the 4-4-2 there, but Sarri does very well. I think he was mistreated over there. It's one season. Like, he's literally been there one season. He finished, top 3 with Chelsea. They finished 3rd in the Prem. And Man City and Liverpool were gangbusters this year. So, he finished 3rd to them. He lost a final in PKs, one of their domestic finals in PKs, and then he won the Europa League. If he is the guy that comes along, hell, I didn't want Allegri in the first place, but it was a pretty good ride, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to jump aboard if he is the one. That's all we can do. And I think there's worse options out there, to be honest. I would be just fine if it ends up being, sorry, he's not my first pick by any means, but I'd be okay with it.
Yep. All right. Next question comes from Luther Tetty. What do you think? I never heard of this actually, so this is news to me. But yeah, you might heard something about it. What do you think of calls for Luis Enrique? I never heard of the rumor, but yeah, he has coached in Italy plus Leicester. Luther. He thinks it will bring the best out of Dybala. I'm not so sure. Yeah, Graham, let's start with you. Luis Enrique to Juve.
Why would they bring the best out of Dybala? Because he's managed another small Argentine. This is the first I've heard of it. I mean, he managed for Roma, wasn't it? And it didn't last very long.
Yeah.
So that's his experience in Italy. The only success he's really had was Barcelona, wasn't it? And that was such a good team that it wouldn't really be difficult. I don't know what to make of him. I've only really seen him have success with Barcelona. I'm not entirely sure. I don't see that many positives to him.
No, me neither, actually. Al, you agree?
No, that's the first I've heard of it, and yeah, I'm not too into that option.
No. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a question from _Palumbo19 _ talk about Ronaldo's influence on the club. Are we sure it's overall positive? We touched on it last time a bit, but yeah, let's hear it out again. Al, let's go with you. Ronaldo's influence on the club.
It's huge. I mean, they talk about it all the time, even just training with him, and then these guys getting back off the bus or whatnot, and he's going to the gym working out still when these guys are done, and like he's a beast, he's a freak. His mentality in the Champions League game, like it didn't matter what needed to be done that second leg versus Atletico, like he's getting the crowd pumped up, and he's got that attitude. Everybody's got to fuel off of it. Again, just there's no direction from the top with our team, right? So I think a philosophy is going to go a long way, and you could see it in Ronaldo himself. How many games did we see him frustrated and yelling for the press, waving his guys up like he wants us to play a certain way, and we did not support him in what he was expecting out of it, right? I think you could see that a lot on the pitch, but yeah, no, he's huge for us. Is it all overall positive? Well, that's where it gets tricky, because could that money have been spent elsewhere? Would we have been better off as a team spending that money and bolstering a couple of spots? We were top heavy for forwards, but it's a tough one to say. I mean, we weren't far off last season, look at the way we went out in champs, pretty damn rough, but we weren't far away from it last year. You spend that money on a top midfielder or whatnot, right? Maybe it's a different story, maybe, I don't know, but it's tough to look at now at the end of the season when Ronaldo wins you almost 30 points, in the league, gives you a second life in Champions League, almost single-handedly. Yeah, I mean, the only downfall, like I said, him saying, is it all necessarily positive? The only negative is still just a hypothetical. Would we have been better spending the money on a top midfielder, being top heavy? You'll never know the answer, and we could go back and forth all day wondering, right? But no, I think you get the chance to sign him, you have to.
Yeah, Graham, I was well, you guys all know about the Maurizio from Around Turin website, and great guy, great work done there, and he was, I'm not sure if he had made the connection between those two, but he is a season holder, ticket holder at the J Stadium, and the price is elevated just after the purchase of Ronaldo. So that might be the consequence of us buying him. So there you go. There you have at least, I don't know, a negative. But is it negative? Is it natural since we paid so much money for him and ticket prices gotta increase? And the consequence is that the stadium looks a bit quieter, looks a bit, I don't know, like a theater. He calls it a theater sometimes, and I totally agree. And that's not the way I want my stadium to look like, not at all. So Graham, let's take your opinion on the Ronaldo's influence. And we get the positives, of course we do. We see it on paper, we see the statistics, we see what he did, not the team, but what he did for us in the Champions League. I mean, we never would have got out of the quarterfinals. No, sorry, to the quarterfinals if not for him. So, Graham, let's go.
I mean, the only really negative that you can say about Ronaldo was like, the financial aspect of it. I mean, before he came in, we all have this, misconception of Ronaldo as, outside fans, unless you're following him regularly. Whenever you would see Real Madrid on the TV with Ronaldo, and you would see his antics, when he throws his arms in the air and it looks like he's having a little tantrum. And, as an outsider, you look at him and you just go, just can't stand him. But when you actually see him at your own club, you know why he's doing it. He's not just doing it for like a drama queen. He's doing it because like there's something not right with the way the team's playing. He was wanting the team to press. I think it was against Napoli where it was most noticeable. He was wanting the team to press, and they were just sitting back. And you could see him gesturing to, the management. We need to change something up here. And nothing was getting changed, so he just got more frustrated. But it's purely financial. And without Ronaldo, I still think we win the league, but we don't win it as, convincingly. Before the season began, you would look at the team and you would think to yourself, we're fine, we've got Higuain to score the goals. But looking back now, Higuain was, he was just horrible for the whole season, whether it was for Milan or it was for Chelsea, it just never got going. So who's to say he wouldn't have been that way for Juventus? So we definitely did need a goal scorer, and Ronaldo was just absolutely brilliant for that.
Also, the good thing is with Ronaldo is actually that everybody wants to come to Juve now and play with Ronaldo. You saw this wonder kid from Portugal, this João Felix for Benfica. He just talks every day about him. I mean, Ronaldo is my man. He's my number one idol. I want to play with him, for him. I don't know. So he was basically ready to go to Juve just because of Ronaldo. Now, these talks have cooled down because he signed a new contract with Benfica. Yeah. But anyway, you could see the ripple effect of him coming to Juve. Everybody wants to be around him. There is not a single player out there, not even Benatia, who left the ship the way he did. Everybody is talking positively of Ronaldo and what is his influence on the club, on the team. Everywhere he goes, there is like pure focus, 100% focus on football. He's a beast, as you said it. Also, I see there are for sure more positives than negatives.
Definitely
of signing him, no doubt about it. But let's see what happens next season. He's 33, 34 or something, but physically he's 25. So it's insane. So let's see how he will do with new manager and how that manager will use his strengths, of course, because right now, last season with Allegri, it didn't feel to me that we used Ronaldo in any way. We just had him playing there, and he was basically all on his own. No tactics was involved for him. So it was all like, do whatever you want, I'll take care of the rest. So that was a strange one. So let's see what happens with the next manager. If it will be Guardiola, I will be excited because Guardiola knows exactly what to do with our strikers. Yeah. Next question. And this is yeah, you're gonna love this question, Al, because you love this guy. Farid Halabi, he's asking, out of 3 options, Sarri, Pep, and Inzaghi. This question was yeah, it's sent to us a couple of days ago, so before these rumors about Sarri and Pep started. But still, who do you think is better for Moise Kean's career? I believe the boy that will explode, but who should Moise be hoping for? That's the question. Let's go.
Pep. It's got to be Pep.
Why?
You touched on it, right? Like, sorry, I don't know. He has done incredible things with certain players, but it could be hit and miss with him too, right? Pep's no doubt progressed far more players. The work he's done with Raheem Sterling blows me away. Like, that just blows me away, because that's a player that I ragged on for I don't know how many years. Like, so much speed, and speed kills, but he had nothing else to him. But now it's just like, that guy, he knows where to be all the time. He's burying, and I just see the work he's done with a guy like that. And Keane, to me, in his particular role, Sterling being winger, but Keane being striker, like, he's already got probably more potential than Sterling had at that point. And it's no doubt Pep would be the guy. If I'm thinking about young guys that are developing and who I'd want out of those 3, it's Pep for sure. Based on that, for me anyways.
No.
Like, when you've got a raw talent like that, the only way they're going to get better is if you give them more minutes and more playing time. And again, I've got to agree, Pep would be the number 1 man to improve on him. I mean, already briefly spoken about Raheem Sterling. Sterling went from a good talked about talent to, like, literally being talked of as a world-class player. And, Pep won't allow a talented player to slack. I mean, we've all seen the clips of, Pep on the pitch after, I think it was a 5-0 victory in a cup final, and he's ragging on Sterling. He's criticising him for something, and he's gone all the hand gestures. And you're watching that and you're thinking to yourself, mate, you've just won 5-0. What are you complaining about? But he's still just drilling it in. This is what you've got to do. This is how you improve. And if you've got a young player like Keane, that's only going to improve your game. If you've got a manager that just is never happy and he's always wanting to step up to that next level. And I think out of all the names that were given, he's the most likely to actually give Moise Keane more minutes.
What about the technical aspect? I mean, Pep is very, very focused on that, be able to control the ball and pass it quickly and regain possession as quickly as possible and exploit the spaces. Would Keane be okay with that?
Well, he's young enough to learn stuff like that. I mean, he's got, we've all seen him. He's got the physical aspect to his game already. He's got speed, he's got strength. So if you've got a coach, just improving on your technical abilities, you're only going to get better.
Yeah. All right. And yeah, it's a good question, by the way. For me, I totally agree. I'm not sure. I don't know much about Sarri and developing young kids. I mean, we remember him playing. We touched on it last time also. Rugani every single minute for Empoli when he was at Empoli, but that's about it. And for Napoli, well, you had these guys in Mertens, Callejon, and Higuain who just killed everybody with the goals and so on, and of course Koulibaly, but these guys are like they are only good as the system is. So I mean, Callejon was average this season. He was just average, and Higuain was awful. So the system, if the system works, many players will work under it. So we'll see. But yeah, for sure, Pep will be a good choice for Moise. Yeah, and then we have another question from DMMM777. Is any coach other than Pep or Pochettino a downgrade from Allegri? Talking about, I mean, Sarri, Inzaghi, yeah, and so on. And what would you expect for next season if we get one of them? So basically, he's talking about neither Pep or Poch. So we talked about Sarri already a lot. So, but downgrade from Allegri, Al, is it even possible?
It doesn't even. I'm not even personally looking at it as a downgrade no matter who comes in. I already touched on no matter who comes in. I didn't want Allegri in the first place, right? But look at how it turned out. And then, Roman, your words that you gave out about Marcello Lippi and his beliefs, right? On a 3 to 4 window and things needing to change. We need a change. We're at that time. You think about this run we're on. It's crazy to believe that there's not one Champions League title in a cycle that includes that much domestic dominance, that we can't pull one Champions League. It's kind of crazy, right? We have to change. We have to adapt. We have to continue to evolve. We can't remain status quo. It goes with everything. It goes with our players. We should look at revamping. Part of Allegri's downfall for me was the lack of competition in the squad and keeping that drive going. We did look very complacent. We always looked like we felt our talent would just prevail rather than go out and take it. And it's very, very hard to sustain that when you're dominating at home. I don't think the race in Serie A this year, well, lack of a race, I think it being a walkaway and an absolute rout didn't do Juve any favors. So as far as the change, no matter who comes in, I will not see it as a downgrade. I just see it as the next chapter in this cycle, right? And hopefully it's a positive one, and hopefully it's very, very minor on how much transition is actually going to be involved, because I know that's one of the key issues that people are worried about in actually like complaining about if Pep comes along, is that we're going to have such a terrible year because it takes him a while to get going, because he's going to have such high demands and need all these guys. And I don't really know at the end of the day. Ultimately, like, I mean, we've got a talented roster. We give a lot of our guys flack, obviously from what we see in certain games, but it's not a bad roster. I can't see, at the end of the day, they're all professionals. If he comes in, has a summer, whoever comes in, they have a summer to implement their system, they make a few additions. I can't see it taking that long. At the end of the day, we're not talking like they're taking over a Serie C side, it's Juventus, top caliber players. I just don't think the transition is going to be there. But is it going to be a downgrade? I don't think so, because I think it was just naturally time for Allegri to go. So I'm not going to see it as a downgrade personally.
All right. Next question from Matt Montesano 5. Just further one from this actually. Graham, thoughts on Sarri's ability to develop Dybala and let him play close to goal? We touched on it already with ability him of developing players and so on. But do you think that Sarri will see Dybala's abilities and actually use this correctly?
I mean, it all depends on how well Dybala would fit into his system. I mean, we've already seen what he done with Mertens. I mean, Mertens, he converted from a winger into a clinical goal scorer. But, Dybala's already, we've not seen it for the past season, but he's already a goal scorer. It's not like he's going to have to convert Dybala from one position to another. It would just be the setup and the tactics. I think a player like Dybala, he would do well under Sarri if he's in the team. Like, if you're gonna have Dybala up front, it's usually Ronaldo that's gonna be making runs into the middle. So maybe they get in each other's way. But I think he would improve him. He would just improve him just for the complete change of tactics. I mean, Allegri's problem with Dybala was he didn't know where to play him, so he played him everywhere. He would try him everywhere, and you can't really do that with a player. I mean, some players are more versatile than others. We were talking about Emre Can earlier on, but Dybala's not really capable of that. You either play him, you can't play him out wide, and that was the problem last season. You have to play him in front of goal or slightly far away from goal, like a centre attack midfielder or a second striker. So I think he would definitely improve under Sarri. Again, it just goes back to the tactics, but he's more of an offensive-minded manager to begin with. So it's just natural when your offensive players are going to improve under him.
What about Bernardeschi, Al, under Sarri? Would that be a good fit?
I think it would be a good fit, to be honest. I think we saw a big jump this season in Bernardeschi. Again, the only concern I have with Bernardeschi, I'm not sure if it's something a manager can fix, and that's just his decision making in the final third, right? That's my only concern with Bernardeschi. Do I think he'd do great under Sarri? I believe so. I believe he's right up there, if not more talented than some of these other guys that we're talking about that Sarri's been able to do incredible things with. So yeah, I mean, I think it would be great. Again, it remains to be seen. Sarri's probably gonna, if it is Sarri, continue on with the 4-3-3. And I could see him using Bernardeschi as a winger, to be honest. And Bernardeschi, he suits it. He could do it. With Allegri, I think Allegri overcomplicated things, to be honest. I think he tried to have, I think in him trying to get Dybala on the pitch, just using him incorrectly, just at the sake of getting him in there while not being able to sacrifice having Mandzukic out there at the same time. And then, when you have Mandzukic out there, obviously he's a target guy, so we play the cross game. We play the cross game no matter who's out there. And it didn't work, right? It was too complicated. He just didn't keep it simple, right? If you're going to have Dybala out there, put him at the top, put him where he needs to be, in and around goal. Okay, you're not going to have Mandzukic this game, but do things properly, right? I think he just overcomplicated. Sarri doesn't have that problem. It's very, very simple. He has a good system. He believes in it, and he gets the players to believe in it, and it produces. It has great results. What's critical to him is his controller and his playmaker. And Jorginho followed him to Chelsea there, and the question there remains, is Pjanic going to be the guy if it is Sarri, right? So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, it's good. It's a very good point. And offensively, I mean, Sarri also started to be more flexible, because before he had Higuain and he loved the guy, and suddenly Higuain was gone, and then Mertens came along because Milik was injured. And Mertens is a slightly different player to Higuain, but at Chelsea actually he is used Giroud, and Giroud is a totally different player from both of these guys. So he can also use like this target man a la Mandzukic. I mean, he can get they can be useful to him. So there's a slight flexibility there. So if plan A doesn't work, there might be some plan B there, which he didn't have at Napoli before, because he always played the same way, and suddenly when this way didn't work, there was no other plan. But now he has several strings to play. So yeah, for me this will be very interesting, especially with Dybala. If he plays it closer to goal, I mean, we will see more dangerous Dybala. We will be probably more frustrated with Dybala, who will lose the ball completely all the time. But then you never know. If it goes to the system, it might work.
I think what's really intriguing with Sarri is something I've complained about almost all season, is our lack of counterattacks and how we make a mess of them. And that's one of the strengths of his system, is being able to turn that around and counter almost at will. And
Well, that's all on Cuadrado, by the way.
with oh yeah, well, it's so frustrating, right? I mean, that's just not a part of Allegri's thing. Is like, he's a safety first guy. He does not want to get into this back and forth match, right? So he always, like, he wants him to slow it down and just get that control. But in doing that, the other team gets set up defensively. Sarri is not like that. He is not afraid. And with our talent, especially being top heavy up at the front, I would love to see what he could unleash with them, right? Graham touched on it earlier. We could be ridiculous if we get it right.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, that's on Sarri. Thanks for the question, Matt. Good one. Next up, Domelo13. Should we give? That's a good question. Should we give another chance to Alexandro next season, or should we sell him before his value decrease significantly? Graham.
I think we should keep him. I know he had a bad season, but we've already got to address midfield.
Well, who didn't, to be honest?
That's true. But as it stands right now with the current squad, we have to address the centre of midfield and the centre of defence. If you get rid of Alexandro, that means you have to bring in another left back, whether it's a backup or a first team quality, left back. We've got Spinazzola, so Spinazzola would probably be the first team regular, but you need someone to back him up. So I would keep Alexandro, and who knows, under new management, new style of play, maybe he plays better next season. And I know his value is going to decrease if he has another bad season, but we should keep him for at least one more season and give him another go under new management. Because
yeah, sorry.
That's fine. Because we've seen him play well before. It's not like, we've never seen him play well. So he's got it in him. But for whatever reason, tactics, whatever, or maybe it's just him. Maybe it's just a natural decline in him. But again, I would give him another chance under new management just to see. Because if you're going to go by last season, then, Dybala's the first one to go. But again, we've seen Dybala play very well. I mean, for the first two seasons, he was superb, and he looked like a real talent. And Alexandro, I think it was his second season, the 16-17 season, he was absolutely brilliant. So if he can get anywhere near that, he's a brilliant player to have.
Yeah, the thing is that with this financial aspect of it, I mean, it's if we're going to focus on the value of the player rather than the quality, that's just crazy, because we cannot just sell the players because we need the money. We don't need the money. We need the player, and we need to see a positive Alexander who believes in what he does. He didn't last season. You could clearly see it. He didn't know what to do apart from giving the ball to Matuidi and waiting for somebody else to help him out. Nobody was up for it, and neither was he. So for me, it's just very, very strange if we would sell him based on his value. If we were to sell him, I mean, we need to bring somebody in and give me one left back out there who is good enough to replace Alexandro. It could be Grimaldo from Benfica, I think. It could have been. There are talks about Damian. I mean, if that was the case, never, ever, ever. There will be De Sciglio and Damian on either wing backs. I mean, just twins, basically. No. Never, ever. So that's not the case. And also the solution of playing the right-footed wing back on the left is so bizarre to me, at least. You could never get a cross in for sure. They will always cut inside. You will be exposed very quickly. I mean, Spinazzola is very good exception to that rule because he can use both feet, and he's very, very unpredictable. So he's a golden player to have in the team. So we shouldn't sell him for sure. But Alexandro, if you're gonna sell him, you need a replacement, and the only one I see there is probably Marcelo, but that's not gonna happen because Zidane is there now. So yeah, I don't know. Al, real quick, Alexandro. I mean, I think you agree with keeping him, but if we were to sell him, what do we do?
do agree we got to keep him just because we're handcuffed. Same thing.
Yeah.
We got to get a midfielder and center backs, right? If we were to replace him, I mean, I think even if he stays, honestly, like I give that starting position to Spinazzola based on what we've seen, and Sandro's got to earn it back anyways. But if we were to get rid of him, Tagliafico, Grimaldo, Alex Telles, those are a couple options. But again, right now, we're just not there, right? Because you're gonna be, what are those kids worth? I don't even know their values right now, but it's almost the same. So to change it at the sake of changing it, I don't know, because I haven't seen enough of those guys to see them defensively. I know what they're capable offensively, but seeing how we're going to change systems, it kind of changes everything, right? At a point during this season, when we operate our offense through Allegri and on the flanks, it becomes critical that you start looking at these kids, the Taliaficos, the Grimaldos, and you're like, that's what we need. Now, we got a new manager coming in. Let's wait and see. At least Alexandro always has the solidity of his defense to fall back on, and we need to bolster the midfield and center back. So let's just hang tight for now, not change for the sake of changing, and let's see what we have. The nice thing is, you touched on, Spinazzola is fantastic, and I think it's his spot anyways. It should be, based on what we saw this season. And Sandro needs to earn it back, and that'll pick up his drive, I hope. So, yeah.
No, I agree completely. I really hope Alexandro stays, and it would be just a silly move for us. And also the focus, it will move our focus from focusing on, as you touched on it, on the midfielder and on the center back, and probably one more midfielder to a left back, which we absolutely don't need that extra focus, extra messing up the transfer system. So keep him as long as he is happy. I mean, if he wants to leave, that's another story, but I doubt that he will do that, because I think he's just on the fence right now and waiting to see what happens with the coach. I mean, that's also a thing. I doubt that there is a single player out there who would be mad, who would leave if Guardiola will come in. Let's say if Pep will come in, everybody would be thrilled. That's my opinion. If there would be no player out there who would be like, nah, I don't want to play for Pep. See ya.
Yeah.
That would be a strange one. So I think everybody's just on the fence and waiting to see what's gonna happen. And we have one more question from our longtime follower, Daniel Jafari. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. He has a very provocative question. I see you touched on it. So let's do this. Let's be provocative. After Barca's Copa del Rey loss, was Juve's season worse than European rivals? Real needs rebuild. Barca is in shambles. Bayern has to spend massively. Only the Prem teams have fared well. It could be a fluke, of course, or the dawn of their dominance. Interesting question. I'll answer it after you guys, because I really want to hear your thoughts on it, Graham. What's up with the top four in European leagues?
I mean, football goes through transitions, so you're not always going to have Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and to an extent Juventus every season competing for the Champions League and just winning Champions League trophy after Champions League trophy. I mean, Real Madrid was a freak, 3 in a row. You don't usually see that at all. In the grand scheme of things, we had a similar season to Barcelona, a better season than Real Madrid, but that's not saying much. And I would say a worse season than Bayern Munich, because I believe Bayern Munich won the domestic double. And, similar to ourselves, they went out in horrible fashion in the Champions League. But, we still won the league at the end of the season. So it wasn't a complete disaster. By our high standards, it was a disaster. But in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't. And it's just when you look around Europe, there's so many sides that are in need of, surgery to those squads. Real Madrid badly need it. They've needed it for a while. They've relied on the same players constantly, and they're getting up a bit in age. Barcelona haven't been the Barcelona that we've known for maybe a season or two. There's just something up with that club, and heavily relying on Messi. And again, with Bayern Munich, they had Robin, Ribery, but they're gone now, so that just shows you they're another club that's in transition. And while this has all been going on, the Premier League clubs have been lurking in the background. They've been making additions. They've been making superb additions in management, and they've got the financial backing. So when it comes to why the English clubs are suddenly competing in the Champions League again, it's the only surprise really is that it took them so long, because with that financial backing, there's no way that they should not be reaching quarterfinals or semi-finals.
But the thing is, with Tottenham, for example, Tottenham didn't spend a dime almost, and with the Liverpool, both of them are in Champions League final. They didn't spend that much money. Yeah, they did, but it wasn't immense. It wasn't like, oh, they are the spending club. I mean, it's all on Klopp, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, but like when I'm saying financial backing, I'm not just meaning strictly on transfer fees. When they've got their wage bill and they can attract those players with Premier League money. I mean, normally when a player is, I think a day or two ago, De Ligt was being talked about as going to Manchester United. What other reason has he got to go to Manchester United over Barcelona or someone other than money? They're not even in the Champions League. So they've got what I call the Premier League clubs, and this isn't a criticism, they've got what I call like Sky TV money, because they've got that massive contract with like Sky TV. And that's where they get most of the money from. They get most of their money from all these TV contracts because they're a worldwide brand. And, La Liga, Serie A, they're nowhere near being like a worldwide brand on, that standard. So that's why we're behind. But again, it was only a matter of time before the Premier League clubs were a force again. You didn't want to play against Premier League clubs in the early noughties. When you look back at the knockout rounds and the finals, they were always there, and they just had a little blip, and now they've recovered from it. You've got Klopp at Liverpool, you've got Pochettino at Tottenham, you've got Pep Guardiola leaving Bayern Munich for Man City. But you touched on it with Tottenham. Tottenham are a bit of a freak in that, because they didn't spend hardly anything at all last summer. But they've made really good purchases over the years. Like they've got Eriksen, they've got Kane coming up out of nowhere. And even, I believe it was maybe 2 seasons ago when they signed Lucas Moura from PSG, no one was talking about that. And then he's the guy that basically put them into the final over Ajax. So they're very good on the transfer market, and they can afford to be. I know we're talking about the top 4. But look at Wolves. They came out of nowhere. They were able to make big signings while they were in the Championship before they got up to the Premier League. So if you've got clubs that can afford to do that, they're in a lower league, and then suddenly they come up to the Premier League and they get that big windfall of money just for getting promotion. There's so much money involved in the Premier League compared to like our league, Serie A. And that's what's been so great about Juventus. They've been able to compete with that. And I know we're like, in the grand scheme of things, we're a bigger club than most of them, or on a similar level. It's just the financial difference. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
What you thinking, Al?
It's just, it's a really tough question. Like the financials still can only, well, I guess, yeah, like, it can only help you so far though, right? Like, when we're looking at these teams, you look at these clubs you've mentioned, like you got Pochettino, you got Klopp, you got Guardiola in there, Sarri was in there too. Like, these are teams like, and it's all cycles, right? You look at Bayern just hasn't done a good job being proactive on their age, and their age caught up to them and whatnot. And now they're in a rebuild process, right? Because they didn't act accordingly when they should have. And now these guys are all going within a matter of a couple of years here, and they just haven't made the right moves to treat that properly. Real Madrid, it was going to come to an end. I mean, you look at the guys that were critical for them. Obviously, they lost Ronaldo, which was huge for them. But then, Marcelo's age is starting to show too. And he's kind of had a little bit of a drop. And, there was the coaching change, the coaching carousel there. So it was just, it's hard. That's not going to go forever, right? And it was a freak thing that they got 3 in a row anyways. That's so incredibly insane to think about, right? But it's all cycles, right? I look at Juve this year, and I think that when I look at all these other teams and their positions and where they were at, and I don't think there's anything really to do with the leagues that's playing into it. It's just like the Prem sides, like they've got great coaches. They are able to draw in top talent. They've always been in the mix, but they've got top coaching now. And look at the difference Klopp's been able to make at Liverpool. Look at that club when he started there, and look at the team he's built. It's incredible, man. But yeah, like Juve this year, oh man, it hurts. I feel like we wasted this one. I think it was a top season for us to capitalize on these transitional phases of the other big clubs, and we fell short, and we didn't do it. Yeah. The signs were there on what we needed to do, but our approach for Champions League needs to change. I mean, and the approach and mentality with those English clubs, that's just something that comes from their league too. Like how they play in the Champions League, they play on a week-to-week basis. We don't do that. We have to turn it up on a second leg against Atletico because we shit the bed on the first one. Yeah.
Like we usually do.
Yeah, exactly, right? But you watch the Prem, and, credit where credit's due. Like, they play like that week in, week out. So, the money, sure, and they're drawing the players and whatnot, but, the mentality and approach and the philosophy, the football philosophy is kind of what it's very similar to what you need in the Champions League. So that definitely.
Yeah, it's a very, very good point, actually, because I had a conversation with one fan on Twitter and about the Liverpool and how they came to the final, because they played Barcelona. I mean, if you play Barcelona, you're already underdog. There's no question about it. But they used an approach. It was a fearless one, and every player out there believed in what Klopp was all about. So it was all about the approach, and the players out there, it didn't matter who it was. I mean, Origi. Yeah. Who is that? Have we heard about this player? Who if he goes from Liverpool to some other club, he will for sure not start. So he's not a great player. He's not world beater, but he made it happen. I mean, as you touched on it, Graham, Lucas Moura, we didn't talk about him at all. Suddenly he appeared and just destroyed Ajax. Ajax, who destroyed us. They could have had 3, 4, 5 against us at the J Stadium.
Yeah,
for sure. So it's all about this mentality. It's just not. It's not the case that players are suddenly great that one Champions League night. It's all about the mentality and to believe in what the coach is telling them to do. Of course, Messi's and Ronaldo's and possibly like big players like Chiellini's and so on. They turn up on the big nights, no matter what, no matter who the coach is. Well, you can hardly say it with Messi because he plays like an asshole for Argentina, but I mean, but Ronaldo is a perfect example. He doesn't care if it's Allegri or is it Luis Enrique or whoever. I mean, whoever it is who is coaching him, he will be 100%. So for Liverpool, they just did what they always do and believed at it. And the mentality difference between Barcelona and Liverpool were so obvious. as soon as Barcelona started conceding, they were done. They were basically done because, I mean, was it Lionel Messi who was the captain? Wasn't it? I think it was.
It
He's
usually
the
is,
captain
yeah.
of Barca, isn't it?
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So where was his captaincy? Where was his leadership? He doesn't talk. He just shuts up and he doesn't do anything. So there is no leadership there, and the mentality was absolutely gone after they, they conceded two, I think. So there you have the mentality belief in Liverpool. For Tottenham, I mean, never give up attitude again. Ajax were starting to feel comfortable and they were suddenly through, but then they weren't, and they never woke up from that as soon as Tottenham started scoring. So for me, they deserve it just pure because of that mentality, not so much about the money, in my opinion, not this season at least. It's just all about the mentality and never give up, because the opposition, they were in shambles, they were complacent.
Well, like, I know I mentioned the money. I'm not specifically talking that's the reason they're in the finals, tonight. We're speaking on Saturday. Like, when you go back and you look at those games, right? When you're talking about mentality, Ajax were a young, inexperienced side. They didn't know how to manage the game. Barcelona were tactically a shambles in that second leg. It wasn't working. They were getting battered. They couldn't deal with the press. And, their manager didn't change a thing. Their manager just sat on the sidelines and thought, it's fine, nothing to worry about. Someone should have been beside him mentioning the Roma game to him. It's like deja vu. It's like, mate, this happened to us last year. Do you not think you should change something? No, everything's perfectly fine. Nothing to worry about. And when I was talking about the financial aspect, like, the Premier League clubs have the ability in the blink of an eye to get any manager that they want. When it comes to competing on wages, they can outbid anyone for their wages. So when Liverpool wanted Klopp, he was only going to one club. When Man City wanted Pep Guardiola, there was only one club he was going to. And I know Man City, they sort of bottled it, or bad luck, whatever you want to call it, in the semi-final against Tottenham. But that's a club that's completely structured around the manager. Before he arrived, they were putting the building blocks in place for him. I mean, they had, I think it's a sporting director from Barcelona when Pep Guardiola was there. I might be wrong, but I'm sure I've heard that. So that just shows you the forward planning of them. And with Klopp, he's been at Liverpool for quite a few seasons now, so he's had plenty of time to implement, his mentality, his approach to the team. So it's not an overnight thing, but the building blocks were put in place a few years ago, and now we're seeing the end results of that. But again, Tottenham are just, they're just a bit of a freak in the whole thing, because they didn't spend money this year, but they brought in guys earlier on.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And actually, Pochettino has been there for quite a while, so he was also able to gel this team to his tactics and to his approach. So yeah, it's a very, very good point. But what about next season, guys? What do we do? Who will be the favorites for the Champions League? I mean, it's got to be at least Barcelona. They have revenge written all over them, and we don't know what will happen with Man City and their ban for the Champions League, if they will stay in Champions League or will they be banned. But Barca's got to be there for sure. And Juve, outsider.
Yeah, like it's funny if you think about us. I mean, are we all of a sudden not considered contenders due to having a managerial change? I mean, we still have Ronaldo on the squad, who's an ultimate game changer. I still throw us in the mix for sure. But yeah, Barca will be up there. Liverpool's going to be up there again, like for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's frustrating me talking about all these other clubs, because it's just like, again, I just feel like this year we just kind of pissed away. This was our chance. I really, really believe it was our chance, and kind of blew it. I talked about it with somebody about a month ago. Just, I fell into the trap too. I was thinking, because of Allegri, and this is why a lot of people I got into it that were defending Allegri throughout the season, is they would always use his previous successes, to defend him. And I was like, but let's look right now in the moment. But even I myself fell victim to it this summer when we signed Ronaldo, and I thought, God, we just can't get rid of Allegri right now, because if he can do it with what we had before, now we have Ronaldo. You have to keep him. We got to go. And I believed, and oh boy, was I wrong. Oh.
Yeah, my argument was that Allegri knows defensive football, so now that he got Ronaldo, we know the offensive football as well. Well, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, such a frustrating season. But yeah, let's look forward to the next season. Let's see what happens with Guardiola.
Let's just pick a manager. Yeah, let's get it out there. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's get some signings.
I want to do it ASAP, because I don't want to do it in the middle of August and hasting with our purchases 2 weeks before the window closes. That would be crazy.
This is one of the things. I continue to fail to believe Juventus would have announced Allegri not being a part of the club anymore without knowing who was going to replace. I believe they had a couple contingency plans, but I believe that there was one name for sure. There's no way they make that announcement, don't have somebody lined up, right? Obviously, we're all familiar with the Momblano interview and everything that's been going out there, right? But I wouldn't doubt if they had been working on Pep for 4 or 5 months right now, and they just had
Paratici told us actually in an interview that they never spoken to Pep. I don't know if you believe that.
Well, that's just it. But what are we going to believe? Paratici and Nedved also said that Allegri was staying next year.
Yeah, true.
So how much do you believe? What do you not believe? And at the end of the day, I still sometimes have to pinch myself that I have a Cristiano Ronaldo Juve jersey. So
yeah.
It's crazy. Anything can happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's just not characteristic of Juve to do something like that, right? So I find it hard to believe that they didn't have somebody, damn near signed, or even a pre-contract agreement with letting Allegri go. It's strange.
Well, in my opinion, I do believe that they had Sarri lined up, and I think that they are just waiting for Guardiola and what happens with the Man City. If they are banned from the Champions League, well, Guardiola won't be there because he wants the Champions League. He says that he doesn't care about it, but that's where the money is. So.
And this is it. This is where it gets interesting. Is okay, so if they had Sarri lined up, they're waiting to find out what happens with Pep. I don't know. I feel they had Conte on the back burner, and his ego finally is just you know what? Forget it. I'm going. I'm signing. And he's done. If they have Sarri and they're waiting for Pep, what are they? Do you think they're waiting on the fair play?
Yeah.
In which case Man City could appeal, and then that could get pushed through, so they still technically could be in Champions League this season. And does he still end up staying through? There's a lot to it, right? I don't know. I find it strange that they haven't locked in on anything, but
yeah, it could also be because Sarri was playing the
he had the Europa League final,
yeah. So they're waiting for that
pre-contract, and they're waiting, but I don't know. It's weird. The whole thing's weird. It doesn't make a lot of sense. A lot of contradicting information. Momblano, all I know is he is all in. He has taken all.
Yeah. He is selling his soul.
Oh, he is all in, and you know what? That confidence is reassuring, but I'm gonna be pissed off at you, Momblano. I'm telling you.
Well, the good thing is that we actually got rid of Allegri early enough for the new manager to kick in.
Yeah.
So if we did that in August, as I said, so that's where the lack of the professional stature will certainly appear, because it's just stupid of us to we're not sure, let's just skip Allegri around for a bit and let's see what happens. But I think the old negative talk, you could see it in the stadium, you could see it on the social medias, You can see the abuse that Allegri got during the season, and he had to quit social media because of it. So there were warning signs throughout the season that we don't like Allegri anymore. Enough is enough. Something needs to be done. And well, the club, surprisingly enough, listened to the fans, I guess, and looked at what we are saying and looked at it and said, yeah, I kind of agree. This is crap. This is useless football. We need to change it up. And mutual consent and bye-bye. Early enough, very good. But we'll see. Let's see what happens. Let's see who comes in. Inzaghi, I never believed. Inzaghi is a good friend of Paratici, and that's it. That's where the rumors started, and that's the rumors are based on purely that. And of course, the fact that Milinkovic-Savic is also linked to Juve, so there'll be like a package deal. But yeah, nothing. No, I don't believe it, and I doubt that that's gonna happen. So it is, in my opinion, between him and of course Antonio Conte. I mean, he was apparently ready for Juve, but I nearly said no a couple of times, and then Conte got pissed off and went to the arch rivals, the Merda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait for next season to destroy him.
It's going to be great for that, but what a way to tarnish your legacy.
Yeah, for sure. Did you sign the petition?
To remove the star.
Yeah, I did. I mean, seriously.
Oh man.
If you guys didn't sign, please, I link it down below. The link to the how to sign up for the removing of the gold star of Antonio Conte J Stadium. Apparently, every legend of the club has the gold star, and just around the star are the fans. They bought small stars around the player. So I didn't buy one. I considered Takinari, but I didn't. But Antonio Conte has the star, and now they're considering removing it because of this petition. I doubt that will happen. It will happen. It's just the buzz around the news.
And you got people on both sides on this one, right? You got some that are saying, well, it's just a job. What do you expect them to do? Like, not ever work for anybody but Juve? It's not like that.
But don't go to Inter, man. Don't go to Inter. I don't go to somebody else.
Post Calciopoli, you do not join Inter if you're a true Juventino. That's it. There's nothing lower you can do. I put a post out there too, and I was like, God, Bonucci must just feel such a weight off his chest now that Conte has taken that from him. And then there's people still piping in, no, he's an asshole too, and I agree. Yeah, he did something. But you know what? It's just you can't do that. You're Juve legend, whatever. I guess just what a way to ruin your rep. And I get it, it's a job, but he had offers. He could have went to other teams. I think honestly, you got to think about this. And Agnelli's no saint. Like, he's got an ego too, okay? And you're dealing with a Conte. We all know about his ego, and I could totally see it. Conte wanting to come to Juve, Agnelli being the one saying no, putting him on the back burner. I talked about this before. I find it hard to believe that Conte would be okay being a plan B. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see him having the ego for that. So if that was the case, I could totally see, because Conte had offers. We know he had clubs going after him. I could totally see him doing this strictly for that fact, knowing that it's Inter and wanting to dethrone Juve.
Definitely.
100%.
And
for a neutral, stay tuned to Serie A. I'm telling you that. It's going to be good to watch, at least for that, right? Sorry, Graham, go ahead.
That's okay. I mean, the thing that doesn't help Conte, and the thing that just pisses people off even more, is the comments he's making since he's been announced as the Inter manager. I mean, he's come out. This is a Juventus legend, right? This is a guy that's supposed to bleed black and white and all that stuff. And he came out and he said he wants to take Inter and put them back where they belong.
Yeah.
In the shit?
That's where they already are, and that's where they deserve to be. But, like, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's saying. It's fine to take a job, but if you know the backlash that's going to come from it, and you're not struggling for work elsewhere, I mean, I could totally see what Al was saying. If he was Plan B, that'll really annoy him and that'll offend him. So what better way to get back at your former employees who don't see you as Plan A, go to the rivals and be like, I'm going to knock you off your perch.
But then the thing is that, the thing is that then he makes this all about himself and not the club that he apparently loves. So if he loves the club, he knows that it's best for the club's best interest is in focus here, not his own interest. So if he is pissed because he has Plan B, then he makes it all about himself and not the club.
Well, yeah, so for sure he does.
His ego is bigger than his love for the club, and this is the point here. So granted, go ahead, go to Inter. We will crush you. We will take the pride out of you because you just don't see it. You love yourself more than you love the club.
Yeah, maybe it's good then we got rid of Allegri though, because Conte owned Allegri. He just bossed him in their matchups. Yeah, it was so funny. Yeah. There's a lot of people posting, well, let's bring Allegri back now and let's just focus on the Scudetto. No, I'm not worried about them getting Conte. It's gonna pick them up. It'll help them for sure. But no, I'm not worried about it.
All right. Thank you, guys. Time to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching this. Thank you to Graham and Al, of course. Comment down below about what we talked about. What's your opinion on the status of the team? What we did this season? What we're gonna do next season? Who will be the coach? And why do you think that would be a good fit? Comment below. Follow us on Twitter. I'll put the links below as well. Thank you, and see you soon. I hope we will do this again sometime, because this will have been real fun. Maybe we'll do some transfer news, some transfer updates. Never know. Yeah, so have a good one. Enjoy your Champions League final. If you're watching that crap, I won't. All right. See you.
Take care.
Thanks.
All right.